Make no mistake, life is always keeping score. Every single day there's an invisible tally, whether you notice it or not. You may not get a report card on Friday, but life is tracking the habits you repeat, quietly and faithfully. I call this the law of habitual return. Whatever you sow again and again, you will eventually reap with interest. Show up late as a habit and life records it. Make your bed every morning and life records that too. Time passes. Then one day, the total of those actions knocks on your door. People ask, what's the real secret to getting ahead? A big breakthrough? A lucky windfall? Once in a while that happens, but most real progress is built on simple actions done well, done consistently. Life doesn't pay you for what you do once. It pays you for what you do until it becomes part of who you are. Picture a farmer planting. One seed doesn't make a harvest, but plant a whole field, water it, tend it every day, and in a few months, that small daily habit becomes a harvest big enough to feed the neighborhood. It all began with the right habit, repeated when no one was watching. Now flip it. Imagine that same farmer gets lazy. He skips a day, then another. Weeds show up. He shrugs. It won't matter just this once, but weeds love neglect. Soon that hopeful field is overrun. That's the law at work too. Every habit, good or bad, has a return policy. One habit pays you rewards, another charges you penalties. There are no neutral habits. So ask yourself honestly, which account am I building? Am I investing in habits that pay me back, or stacking debts that life will one day collect with interest? Some people hear routine and think, that sounds boring. Isn't life supposed to be spontaneous and exciting? There's a place for adventure, but if you truly want progress, you need routine. The right routine is not a prison, it's a pathway to freedom. Routine removes friction from your day. Good habits, repeated enough, become so natural you don't have to wrestle with yourself to begin. They run on autopilot. Like pushing a car stuck in neutral, the first shove is hard, but once the wheels start rolling, momentum takes over. My first morning routine wasn't glamorous. It was awkward. Laying out clothes, setting alarms, planning my day felt forced. But over time, something powerful happened. It stopped being a struggle. It just happened. And all the energy I used to spend debating, should I, shouldn't I, became available for higher purposes. Motivation is a wonderful spark, but it's unreliable. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it isn't. You can't depend on motivation to pull you out of bed every morning, but you can depend on your routine. Motivation lights the engine, but routine is the engine. That's why the pros in any field make it look effortless. It's not because they're lucky or gifted they have a system. They don't wait for inspiration. They follow a set of actions day in, day out, whether they feel like it or not. Think about it. If you had to negotiate with yourself every time you wanted to eat breakfast, brush your teeth, or start your workday, you'd be exhausted by noon. But because those things are routine, they happen naturally. Now imagine applying that same principle to reading, planning, exercising, saving money, or building your business. Imagine how much smoother your days would run, how much more you could accomplish, simply because the basics were automatic. Here's the truth. Routines beat motivation every single time. Don't wait to feel ready before you do what matters. Build a system so strong that your routine carries you when your feelings won't. And if you slip, don't start over from zero. Just step back into your routine as quickly as possible. The system steadies you. The routine strengthens you. And soon, the habits you build start working harder for you than you work for them. That's the hidden value of routine. It removes friction, frees your mind, and makes success predictable. Build the system, and soon the system begins working for you. Now let's look at what I call the daily deposit principle. It's simple, but if you truly grasp it, it can change your destiny. Every day, you're either making deposits or withdrawals from the account of your future. Most people hope for a big lottery moment, one giant deposit, one massive break, one stroke of luck. But life rarely works that way. Real wealth in health, knowledge, relationships, or finances comes from steady, small deposits over time. It's not the occasional heroic effort that builds a remarkable life. It's the consistent daily habit. Take reading as an example. 10 pages a day doesn't seem like much, but that's over 3,000 pages a year, a dozen books or more. Multiply that by 5 or 10 years and you become a walking library. You didn't read all day. You didn't need luck. You just made the daily deposit. The same is true for learning a skill, mastering your craft, or improving your finances. Save a little each week and the balance grows quietly. Interest begins to work in your favor. After a few years, you have options, confidence, and security, not because of one big moment, but because of consistent discipline week after week. Even health works this way. One workout won't change much, but 100 days, 1,000 days, suddenly people ask, what's your secret? But there is no secret. It's the daily deposit principle. Invisible at first, undeniable later. I remember when I first entered business. I made calls, held meetings, read books, and often wondered, does any of this matter? But over years, the evidence began stacking up. People called it luck, but luck had very little to do with it. You can apply this principle anywhere. Want a better relationship with your spouse, your children, your friends? Make a daily deposit, a kind word, a thoughtful gesture, 5 minutes of real attention. It may feel small in the moment, but wait until you see the compound interest of consistency. Small habits are like seeds. Plant them every day. Some grow slowly. Some sprout quickly. But all of them work for your future. Don't underestimate what can happen when you stick with a habit long enough. The days are going to pass anyway. The only question is, when you look back, will you see a rich account or will you wish you had started sooner? So I challenge you, choose your habits the way an investor chooses stocks. Make daily deposits into the account you want to see grow your health, your mind, your relationships, your finances. A little each day, compounded over time, builds a life of abundance. That's the daily deposit principle. The payoff is certain. The growth is steady. And one day, when you least expect it, you'll realize just how wealthy your habits have made you. Now let's flip the coin and talk about neglect, because as powerful as good habits are, there's an equal and opposite force working in every life: the cost of neglect. Neglect is sneaky. It doesn't send you a bill on the first day. You skip a day, a week, sometimes a month, and nothing seems to happen. But neglect is always compounding quietly, just like good habits. Picture a beautiful garden, flowers blooming, grass trimmed, no weeds in sight. Leave it alone for a month with no care, no watering, no attention. At first, it still looks fine. Then the weeds creep in. The grass browns. The flowers fade. Neglect has done its work. That's how it works with your health. Miss one workout, and nothing changes. Miss a dozen, and the difference shows in the mirror, on the scale, in your energy. Skip the healthy meal. Ignore the checkup. Let stress build and the cost accumulates quietly. One day, the bill arrives, and it's always higher than you expected. It's the same with your finances. Let your spending slip for a while, no budget, no tracking, just hoping it works out and nothing dramatic happens at first. But after a few years, the debt piles up, the options shrink, and what could have been a strong financial future turns into a constant struggle. And it wasn't one big mistake, it was the slow drip of neglect. In business, the pattern is identical. Neglect the details, lose track of your customers, stop learning, stop growing, and at first everything looks the same. But the marketplace is always moving. One day you wake up and realize competitors have passed you by, all because of small things ignored long enough to become big problems. Even relationships teach this lesson. Ignore a friend, a spouse, a child long enough and the distance grows. Not in a week, but little by little, the connection fades. The price of neglect in relationships is loneliness, regret, and opportunities lost. And here's the truth. Neglect always costs more than effort. The price of discipline is measured in ounces. The price of neglect is measured in tons. Ask yourself, where am I letting neglect creep in? Where am I saying I'll get to it later? Because later always comes, and the bill is always due. Sometimes it's your health, sometimes your career, sometimes your family or finances. The cost isn't obvious at first, but it is always certain. Here's the good news. Neglect can be reversed with a single decision. One day of renewed effort, one day of attention, and the process begins to turn around. The garden can bloom again. The account can grow again. The relationship can be restored again. But don't wait for the bill to arrive before you act. Neglect is expensive. The habits you ignore today will invoice you tomorrow with interest. So how are habits and identity connected? More deeply than most people realize. Your habits aren't just what you do over time, they become who you are. Your habits write your biography long before anyone else does. So many people say, I want to be disciplined, I want to be healthy, I want to be successful. But the world doesn't listen to wishes or declarations. The world listens to action. Your habits tell the truth about you, even when you'd rather tell a different story. If you claim discipline but your habits show neglect, the evidence speaks for itself. If you say you value growth but your daily actions stand still, your habits have already voted. It's not enough to want a new identity. You must back it up day after day with habits that match the person you want to become. And yes, this is hard to face. No one likes admitting the gap between their ideals and their actions. But this honesty is where real change begins. Here's the secret. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. Just pick one habit aligned with the identity you want. Reading daily, keeping promises, planning ahead. Every time you act on that habit, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. The more votes you cast, the stronger the identity becomes. You can't fake it for long. You can hype yourself up, make speeches, pretend, but if your habits disagree, the truth comes out. And that's not discouragement, that's an invitation to authenticity. The fastest way to change how you see yourself is to change what you do. Want to be a leader? Build the habit of preparation. Want to be healthy? Build the habit of movement. Want to be trusted? Build the habit of honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. Every new habit is a step toward a new identity. Discipline is not just what you do, it is who you become. Every day you write your future with the pen of habit. Over time, the story becomes so strong that people say, that's just who you are. And you smile because you know it was simply a matter of casting enough votes in the right direction. Most people don't realize this, but one of the most underrated forces in achievement is consistency. People chase breakthroughs, secret formulas, shortcuts, yet if you study anyone who masters their field, you'll notice something simple. They keep showing up day after day. Rain or shine, they put in the work. That's how momentum is built. Progress isn't about intensity, it's about repetition. The world is full of strong starters who faded away, but those who stack small wins, one after another, create something rare, unstoppable momentum. Think about learning a musical instrument. The first lessons are all frustration, clumsy fingers, off-key notes, nothing feels natural. But practice a few minutes every day, and slowly the struggle turns into skill. One day you realize you're playing without thinking. Consistency turns chaos into harmony. Business works the same way. One good call is a beginning. 10 calls create a pattern. 100 builds notice. 1,000 creates reputation. That's the power of consistency. Each small win strengthens the foundation until it can weather any storm. And consistency brings another gift, confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-trust grows. A quiet voice inside says, if you did it yesterday, you can do it today. That's the beginning of mastery. The chain gets longer, the streak stronger, and suddenly you're not just moving, you're rolling. Momentum doesn't arrive overnight. It arrives after enough consistent days that the flywheel finally starts to spin. And once it spins, everything becomes easier. What once felt like a grind begins to feel like second nature. That's why you must never underestimate the value of one more day, one more rep, one more chapter, one more call. Each one is a brick in the wall of your success. Consistency may feel boring, but to the wise, it's the hidden ingredient, the reason ordinary actions lead to extraordinary results. Don't be discouraged by slow progress. The early days are always the hardest, but if you keep stacking those days, the rewards eventually multiply. That's the gift of consistency, momentum that grows into mastery. Now let's zero in on discipline, because if there's a master key to turning dreams into reality, this is it. Discipline is the bridge between ideas and achievement. It's what transforms a good intention into a real result. Discipline isn't punishment. And it's not about denying yourself a good life. It's about choosing what matters most again and again until that choice becomes automatic. It's saying no to 100 distractions so you can say yes to the one thing that moves your life forward. Here's what I discovered. Discipline creates the compound effect. When you do the right thing, not once, but repeatedly, the impact grows far beyond the effort you put in. Just like interest in a bank, the early results are small, almost invisible, but then they multiply. Think about the runner who laces up every morning. Rain or cold. The first miles are tough. The payoff is hidden. But stay disciplined long enough, and eventually the body transforms, the mind sharpens, the pace quickens. That's the compound effect powered by discipline. In business, discipline is just as crucial. Make the calls, follow up, study your market, send the thank you notes. None of it looks glamorous, but over time, the disciplined person rises above the competition. The curve starts slow, then suddenly it takes off. What felt impossible in the beginning becomes inevitable in the end. Discipline isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter, working consistently, and refusing to settle for average. Anyone can be disciplined for one day, but stack a week, a month, a year of discipline, and you unleash the full force of the compound effect. The world may not notice at first, but eventually the results become so visible they can't be ignored. So here's the challenge. Set the standard high and let discipline do its work. You don't need perfection, only persistence. Ordinary actions, performed with extraordinary consistency, create outcomes that surprise even you. Discipline turns slow days into seasons of progress. Give it time, and the curve always bends in your favor. Here's one of the greatest myths about habits. People believe if they just stop doing the wrong thing, life will change. If I could just quit wasting time, quit complaining, quit spending, everything would turn around. But here's the truth. You can't remove a bad habit and leave an empty space behind. Nature hates a vacuum. If you pull out a weed and walk away, something else grows there, usually another weed. You must replace, not just remove. Try this simple experiment. Decide to stop eating junk food, but don't plan what you'll eat instead. It won't take long before hunger makes a decision for you and the old habit returns. The only way to break a bad habit is to trade it for a better one. Swap the empty for the useful. If you've fallen into the habit of ending each night with mindless news or TV, don't just stop, replace it with reading, calling someone you care about, or working on a meaningful project. The replacement is what gives you staying power. Complaining is the same. It's easy to fall into the habit of listing everything that's wrong. But swap every complaint for gratitude. Speak about what's right, not what's wrong, and watch your attitude transform. In your finances, you can't just stop spending. You have to start investing. Every dollar you don't spend is a seed, but a seed sitting on the table doesn't grow. Plant it, replace impulse buying with consistent saving, and over time, you'll watch your resources multiply. This principle is universal. Don't just cut out the negative, crowd it out with the positive. Want to stop being late? Build the habit of preparing the night before. Want to quit procrastinating? Start with one simple action, one small step, and let momentum carry you. Habits are like roots. Dig out a weed and leave the soil empty, and another weed grows. Plant something good, nurture it, and watch it take over the space. So as you examine your habits today, don't only ask, what should I remove? Ask, what can I add? What better habit can take its place? Because every positive replacement sets you up for lasting change. That's how you build a life that pays dividends. Replace, don't just remove. Now here is the ultimate dividend your habits can pay: character. You might think the reward of good habits is better health, more money, a promotion, maybe recognition. Those things do come, but they're not the highest return. The greatest compounding interest of a disciplined life is who you become. Character isn't built in a day. It's built in the quiet moments, the small victories no one sees, the times you choose what's right over what's easy. Every time you keep a promise, every time you finish what you started, every time you act with integrity, you're making a deposit into your character account. Money can come and go. Opportunities rise and fall. But who you become, that's yours forever. That's what people remember. That's what gives you durability when life gets hard. When you've built the right habits, you can handle whatever comes, not because it's easy, but because discipline has trained you to show up. Character is what you lean on when motivation fades. It's what steadies you when the rewards take time to appear. It's built quietly, day after day, when you do the right thing, even when nobody's watching. When you choose discipline over comfort, principle over convenience. And here's the beautiful part. The dividends of character pay out everywhere. In business, people trust you. In relationships, people respect you. With yourself, you walk with a deeper confidence because you've earned it. Success comes and goes, but character endures. I've watched people with strong habits rise above setbacks, outlast obstacles, and build legacies, not because they were the smartest or the luckiest, but because they built the muscle of character one choice at a time. So if you're looking for the highest return on your time and discipline, don't just focus on what you achieve, focus on who you become. Let every good habit be a brick in the foundation of your character. Let every act of discipline carve your name into the stone of reliability, trust, and strength. At the end of the day, when the accounts are settled, it's not what you earned, it's who you became that matters most. That's the dividend of character. And my friend, that's the richest reward of all. So remember this, your life is built quietly, brick by brick, habit by habit. The world may only notice the results, but you will know the truth that every achievement was rooted in the small, disciplined choices you made when no one was watching. Character is not an accident. It is engineered through repetition, through commitment, through the daily decision to honor your future self more than your current comfort. When you choose discipline, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. And each vote strengthens that identity until one day you wake up and realize you are the kind of person you once admired. Not because of luck, not because of talent, but because of consistency, because of the habits you built, because of the character you shaped through action. And here's the final truth. Character doesn't just help you survive life, it helps you rise in life. It helps you earn trust, build relationships, seize opportunities, and walk through challenges with a strength people can feel. When everything else is shaken, character is the anchor that holds you steady, the compass that keeps you aligned, the foundation that cannot be taken away. And that's why your habits matter far more than you realize. They are not just routines, they are quiet architects shaping your destiny. Every disciplined action is a chisel carving strength into your character. Every consistent choice is a seed, growing qualities that will outlast setbacks, failures, and circumstances. Long before success shows up in your life, discipline shows up in you. People often talk about wanting a better life, better opportunities, better results, better outcomes. But the truth is simple. A better life is built by a better you. And a better you is built by better habits. One decision at a time, one action at a time, one disciplined moment after another. Your habits don't just shape your days. They shape your identity, your future, and your legacy. So as you move forward, ask yourself not just what do I want, but who am I becoming through my habits? Because the return on discipline is always greater than the effort. The dividends of consistency are always richer than the sacrifice. And the reward of character is always more valuable than anything you achieve along the way. And here's the part most people overlook. Character doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It reveals itself in the hardest moments, when the pressure rises, when the path is unclear, when excuses feel tempting. In those moments, the habits you've built become your backbone. They steady your mind, they strengthen your resolve, they remind you of who you are and who you refuse to stop becoming. Because when life tests you, and it will, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standards. And your standards are nothing more than the habits you practice every day. Discipline raises those standards. Routine locks them in. Character protects them. And together, they form a life that doesn't crumble when the wind blows. So build the habits that build your identity. Shape the routines that shape your future. Strengthen the character that strengthens your destiny. Because when all is said and done, your habits will tell the story of your life. And if you choose them well, that story will be one worth remembering. And remember this, the world will judge your results, but you will always know the habits that created them. You'll know the early mornings you didn't want, the late nights you pushed through, the temptations you resisted, the promises you kept. Those private victories become the public strength people admire, not because they saw the grind, but because they can feel the character it built in you. That's why habits matter so deeply. They are the invisible battles that shape visible success. They are the small, unseen choices that create the big, undeniable outcomes. And the most powerful part? Every day gives you a chance to cast another vote, to reinforce another habit, to build another layer of character that carries you forward. So choose wisely, choose intentionally, choose habits that honor the future you're building. Because with every repetition, every disciplined step, every consistent choice, you're not just improving your life, you're sculpting the strength, the identity, and the legacy of the person you are becoming. And here's the truth that separates those who rise from those who stay the same. Transformation is never a single moment. It is the accumulation of disciplined moments. It is the quiet, steady rhythm of someone who decides, I will not break my promise to myself today. Others may not notice that choice, but life notices. Your future notices. You notice. Because every habit you strengthen becomes a vote for the life you want to live. And every habit you neglect becomes a vote for the life you're trying to escape. That's why habits matter. They are not just routines, they are mirrors. They reflect your values, your priorities, your standards. They reveal the truth long before results do. So stand guard at the gates of your habits. Protect them, honor them, because one day, when the rewards finally show up, when the opportunities open, when the confidence rises, when the results compound, you'll realize none of it was accidental. It was built, it was earned, it was shaped by the disciplined, consistent choices you made day after day, long before anyone could see the payoff. And this is where the real difference appears. Not in the good days, when everything is smooth, but in the difficult days, when discipline is the only thing holding you together. On those days, your habits become your anchor. They remind you that you don't need perfect conditions to make progress. You just need consistency. You just need to show up. That alone keeps your life moving forward when others start to fall. Because discipline does something extraordinary. It gives you control in a world full of chaos. While others wait for motivation, you rely on structure. While others hope for luck, you depend on routine. While others drift, you stay aligned. That's why people who build strong habits often seem lucky. It's not luck, it's preparation meeting opportunity over and over again. And day by day, repetition by repetition, your habits carve a path that becomes easier to walk. What once felt heavy becomes natural. What once felt difficult becomes automatic. That's the power of discipline. It transforms effort into identity, struggle into strength, and routine into the engine that drives your life forward. And here's what you must never forget. The small things you repeat today are building the big things you will live tomorrow. Every habit is a seed planted in the soil of your future. Some grow fast, some grow slow, but all of them grow. And one day, you'll walk into a life that was shaped entirely by choices you made when no one else was paying attention. This is why the disciplined person always has an advantage. Not because life is easier for them, but because they've trained themselves to do what needs to be done, whether the feeling is there or not. They don't wait for inspiration. They don't hope for momentum. They create it, they shape it, they build it with every consistent action, every steady step, every routine they refuse to break. So let this be your reminder. Greatness doesn't arrive in one dramatic moment. It arrives quietly through hundreds of repeated decisions, through one more rep, one more chapter, one more disciplined choice, through doing what most people won't long enough to earn what most people never will. And if you ever doubt whether your habits matter, look at the people you admire, not the ones who had a lucky break, the ones who built something real, the leaders, the achievers, the masters of their craft. What you're seeing is not a single moment of brilliance. You're seeing the compounded weight of years of discipline. You're seeing the results of habits repeated so consistently that excellence became their baseline. These people aren't superhuman. They simply learned what most never do. That small, disciplined actions are the true architects of success. They understood that momentum isn't magic, it's earned. That confidence isn't a gift, it's built. That mastery isn't talent, it's persistence, applied over time. And the best part, every one of those habits is available to you too. So ask yourself, what habits are building your future right now? What routines are quietly shaping your identity? What disciplines are carving out the life you'll step into? Because make no mistake, you are becoming someone every day. The question is whether that someone is chosen by intention or by default. Your habits answer that question long before your results do. And here's the empowering truth. You don't need to change everything at once. You don't need a dramatic transformation or a perfect plan. All you need is one habit, one action you choose and repeat until it becomes part of you. Because one strong habit creates the momentum for another, and another, and another. Before long, you're not just changing your behavior, you're reshaping your identity from the inside out. This is how real growth happens. Quietly, steadily, through repetition, not revolution, through commitment, not intensity, through showing up even on the days when the resistance is loud and the motivation is silent. The world may never applaud these small decisions, but your future will. Because every disciplined moment plants a seed that grows into something bigger than you can see right now. So don't underestimate the power of today, the power of the next choice you make, the next habit you reinforce, the next routine you honor. These are the moments that build your character. These are the moments that create your destiny. And someday, when people ask how you achieved so much, you'll smile knowing it wasn't magic. It was habits. It was discipline. It was the quiet, consistent work no one saw, but everyone will feel. Because at the end of the day, success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming the kind of person who naturally creates it. And you become that person through habits, through discipline, through daily actions that may feel small in the moment but carry massive weight over time. Your habits are shaping your destiny even when you're not thinking about them. So build the habits that honor your potential. Build the routines that reflect your standards. Build the discipline that supports your future. The world will try to distract you, tempt you, pull you off course, but a disciplined life always finds its way back on track. Not because it's easy, but because you've built the internal strength to stay aligned when everything around you is noisy. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll look in the mirror and see someone transform, someone stronger, wiser, more grounded, more capable, not because of one big moment, but because of the countless small ones you refuse to skip. That's the real reward of discipline. That's the true dividend of good habits. And that's the legacy you build one day at a time. And this is the moment when everything becomes clear. That discipline was never the punishment. It was the pathway. That habits were never restrictions. They were the foundation that gave you freedom. Freedom from doubt. Freedom from inconsistency. Freedom from the version of you that kept starting over. Discipline didn't limit your life, it lifted it. Because when you build strong habits, you stop relying on willpower and start relying on identity. You don't try to be consistent, you are consistent. You don't try to be disciplined, you are disciplined. You don't try to succeed, you simply act in alignment with the person you've become. And that's the most powerful transformation of all. So let this sink in deeply. Your future will not be built by luck or talent or timing. It will be built by the habits you honor, the discipline you practice, and the identity you reinforce every single day. Your habits are writing the story of your life line by line, choice by choice, moment by moment. And when you finally reach the milestones you once dreamed about, you'll realize something powerful. The victory wasn't the achievement, the victory was who you had to become to earn it. The habits you built, the discipline you strengthened, the character you forged in silence long before anyone applauded you. That's the real reward. The achievement is just the evidence. Because success doesn't change you, it reveals you. It exposes the strength you built in private. It highlights the consistency you practiced when no one cared. It showcases the resilience you earned by refusing to quit on yourself. Every accomplishment becomes a mirror reflecting the work you did long before the world took notice. So don't underestimate the season you're in right now, the quiet grind, the unnoticed effort, the daily discipline. This is the season that builds the person capable of carrying the future you want. And when that future arrives, it won't feel surprising. It will feel deserved. It will feel aligned. It will feel like the natural result of the habits that shaped you into someone unstoppable. And here's something most people never understand until much later in life. The habits you're building today are creating advantages you can't see yet. Doors you don't even know exist will open because of the discipline you're practicing right now. Opportunities will appear that others miss because your consistency prepared you to receive them. That's the hidden blessing of habits. They work for you long before you realize it. One day, people will look at your life and call you lucky. They'll point to the moment you succeeded, the moment things turned around, the moment everything clicked. But you'll know the truth that it wasn't luck at all. It was discipline disguised as luck. It was consistency dressed up as opportunity. It was the invisible work you did over and over again when no one was watching. So keep going. Keep choosing the habits that honor your future. Keep showing up even when it's hard, even when it's quiet, even when it feels like no one cares. Because the day will come when the harvest arrives, and on that day, you'll realize every small choice was worth it. Every repetition, every sacrifice, every disciplined moment. Your habits were building your future the whole time. And remember this, your future is not built in the big moments, it's built in the quiet ones. The world celebrates the highlight reel, but your destiny is shaped in the unseen hours. The mornings when you rise before you feel ready. The evenings when you choose one more step instead of calling it quits. These are the moments that write the story of your life. Because every time you practice discipline, you're proving something to yourself. I can be trusted with my own potential. That trust becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes momentum. And once momentum is on your side, life begins to change in ways that feel almost unfair, except you earned every bit of it. So don't measure your journey by today's results. Measure it by today's decisions. The results will follow, they always do. The law of habitual return never misses. What you plant with discipline, you will harvest with abundance. Maybe not immediately, but inevitably. Stay consistent, stay faithful, stay committed to the habits that shape greatness. Because the person you are becoming day by day, choice by choice, is the greatest reward of all. And here's the final truth most people never understand. Your habits don't just create your future, they reveal it. If you want to know where your life is heading, don't look at your dreams, don't look at your intentions, look at your routines. Your routines tell the truth long before the results arrive. Because the future does not show up suddenly. It shows up gradually in the form of daily actions, repeated choices, quiet disciplines. Your habits are like a mirror that reflects your destiny before the world ever sees it. So ask yourself, what future am I rehearsing for? If your habits are small, inconsistent, or driven by comfort, then the future will be small, inconsistent, and filled with compromise. But if your habits are strong, disciplined, and anchored in purpose, then the future will rise to meet that standard. This is the beauty of life. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to master today. One good habit repeated, one discipline honored, one promise kept. These are the bricks that build a destiny you can be proud of. So keep going. Keep choosing the action that aligns with the person you want to become. Because your habits are voting for your future. And if you cast enough votes, the future you desire becomes inevitable. And here's the part that transforms everything. You don't need dramatic change to build a dramatic life. You only need direction plus repetition. Most people wait for inspiration. The wise build installation. They install the habits that guarantee progress, even on the days when motivation disappears. Because motivation might start the journey, but habit finishes it. Motivation is a spark. Habit is the fire that keeps burning long after the spark is gone. If you rely on motivation, you'll move inconsistently. But if you rely on habit, you'll move inevitably. And here's what few people talk about. When you stay consistent long enough, your habits begin to reshape your self-image. You stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined, and you start saying, this is just who I am. Identity grows out of repetition. You don't become disciplined, you prove discipline through daily action until it becomes your nature. And that's when life shifts. Not because circumstances suddenly become easier, but because you become stronger, sharper, more aligned with the life you're building. The grind doesn't shrink. You grow. The routine doesn't get lighter. You get heavier, rooted, stable, unshakable. Let this sink in. Every habit you practice is a silent vote for the person you are becoming. Keep voting, keep stacking the evidence. Keep proving to yourself that you are worthy of the future you envision. Because here is the truth most people never face. Your future isn't built in the big moments, it's built in the quiet ones. The early morning when no one sees you. The late night when no one applauds. The ordinary Tuesday when nothing feels exciting but you still show up. Those moments write your destiny far more than any burst of inspiration ever will. Anyone can act once. Anyone can be disciplined for a day. But the people who change their lives, the people who rise, the people who build something extraordinary are the ones who stay faithful to the small things long enough for them to become the big things. And here's the beautiful part. The longer you stay consistent, the more life begins to trust you. Opportunities open, not because you're lucky, but because you're ready. Doors stay unlocked for those who have built the habits to walk through them with confidence. And one day, not in a dramatic moment, not with fireworks, not with a spotlight, you'll look around and realize something incredible. The life you once dreamed of isn't a dream anymore. It's your routine. Your habits built it. Your discipline sustained it. Your consistency delivered it. That's the moment when everything becomes clear. Success was never about talent, luck, or circumstance. It was about stewardship, about taking responsibility for the small choices that quietly shape the big outcomes. Your habits didn't just build your results, they built you. Because every disciplined action strengthened your character. Every consistent day fortified your identity. Every choice to show up, especially on the days you didn't feel like it, became another brick in the foundation of the person you are becoming. And eventually, that foundation becomes unshakable. Storms can come, setbacks can hit, life can throw its punches, but a person built on discipline and daily habits does not fall easily. Their roots run too deep. Their structure is too strong. They've trained themselves day after day to endure, adapt, and rise again. So when people look at you and say, you're so confident, you're so stable, you're so focused, they don't realize something. Those qualities weren't gifts, they were habits. Repeated, refined, reinforced over time. That's why habits matter so profoundly. Not because they make life easier in the moment, but because they make you stronger in the long run. Every repetition carves a deeper groove in your identity. Every small victory whispers, you can count on yourself. And over time, that whisper becomes a roar. This is the true payoff of discipline. Not the money, not the recognition, not the achievements, though those come too, but the unshakable certainty that you are a person who follows through, a person who does what they say, a person who owns their future instead of waiting for it. Because here's the truth many people never realize. Your future doesn't respond to who you hope to be. It responds to what you repeatedly do. Your habits are casting votes every single day, and eventually the vote count becomes your identity. Strong habits, strong identity, weak habits, uncertain identity. So when you build the right habits, the habits of discipline, consistency, focus, and effort, you're not just earning results, you're earning yourself. A stronger, clearer, sharper version of who you are meant to be. And here's what's remarkable. Once your identity shifts, your habits are no longer a battle. You don't try to be disciplined. You simply are disciplined. You don't force yourself to make good choices. Good choices become your default setting. Identity makes discipline feel natural, even effortless. Think about someone who sees themselves as an athlete. They don't debate whether to train. Training is just what athletes do. Someone who sees themselves as a leader doesn't wonder whether to prepare, to improve, to show up. Leaders prepare, leaders grow, leaders show up. Identity anchors behavior more powerfully than motivation ever. And that's the real secret behind every high achiever you admire. They didn't wait for the world to crown them. They cast vote after vote through their habits, their choices, their consistency, until their identity rose to match their ambition. The world simply confirmed what their habits had already declared. So if you want to change your life, don't start with the goal, start with the identity. Ask yourself, who is the kind of person that achieves what I want? Then begin building the habits that person would practice every day. One habit at a time, one vote at a time. Identity is shaped by evidence, and habits are the evidence. And here's the beautiful part. Once your habits begin aligning with the identity you want, life stops feeling like a constant uphill push. You're no longer forcing change. You're becoming the kind of person for whom that change is natural, expected, automatic. That's the power of identity-driven habits. Most people try to change from the outside in. They chase outcomes, they chase motivation, they chase inspiration, but nothing sticks because the identity underneath stays the same. Real transformation happens from the inside out. When the identity shifts, the behavior follows. Not because you're striving, but because you're aligning. So instead of asking, how do I force discipline into my life? Ask, what identity would make discipline feel natural? Because when you see yourself differently, you act differently. And when you act differently long enough, your results start to match that new identity. Every discipline moment, every good habit, every tiny action that aligns with your future self is another vote for who you are becoming. Keep casting those votes again and again. And one day you'll look back and realize the transformation wasn't dramatic. It was gradual, evidence-based, habit-driven, and inevitable.